listeners. My name is Cliff Ratza, and I'm the author of 2 ongoing series of novels, the Lightning Brain series and its sequel, the Keeper series. And in addition to being an author and a writing coach, I teach at universities and have a consulting business. If you would like to learn more about me, my books, or my writing coach activities, or make comments or suggestions, please contact us via the lightningbrainseries.com website. The title of this video is The Evolution of Fitness and the Food Chain. And I hope it catches your interest. And rather than explain the title, you'll discover how it fits as we proceed. And you'll also see how this running t-shirt I'm wearing fits into the grand scheme of the talk. So let's get started. Why should writers, authors, and people like you like this video? Because authors like to write about people, and people like to know about others. So this video will say something about why people behave the way they do, and what skills they might need so they fit into a future world. So let me ask a question. Why do you think zoologists study animal behavior? There are many good reasons, but I would say the best reason is to understand even better the roots of Homo sapiens behavior. And we are the Homo sapiens, an animal species, merely naked apes, according to a book titled The Naked Ape, a zoologist's study of the human animal. Published in 1967, the English zoologist and ethologist Desmond Morris takes a look at humans as a species and compares us to other animals. The Human Zoo, notice my shirt, The Human Zoo, a follow-up book by Morris that examined the behavior of people in cities, was published in 1969. Psychologists point out that the books might have assumed too much regarding male-female differences and too little regarding our resilience and adaptability. But much of the book is still valid. And a public speaking coach taught his students how to calm down before starting to speak to an audience. He told us to picture all the people sitting there as a bunch of naked apes waiting for us to throw them a bunch of bananas. Okay. Please consider how animal behavior fits into Darwin's theory of evolution. Each succeeding generation gets the DNA and genes of those best equipped to survive. And over time, incremental mutations in DNA lead to better genotypes. But all bets are off if some cataclysm disrupts the environment. Paleontologists tell us that 5 mass extinctions have swept the planet Earth during life's existence. 3 were caused by too much of some atmospheric gas, like nitrogen or carbon dioxide or hydrogen sulfide. 2 were caused by volcanic eruptions or meteor strikes. And today, climatologists warn about the Anthropocene extinction caused by man. Now, during extinctions, those best equipped for survival move up the food chain. And every organism would like to be at the top. Here are some examples of what's happened over long periods of time. Boxer crabs let anemones live on 2 boxing glove-like appendages. The crabs use those appendages to punch predatory fish, and the anemones release a toxin that chases the predator away. Puff adders camouflage themselves by changing color, and they don't emit any odorous chemicals. Geckos change shape and color to blend in with trees. And 3-toed sloths have hair that supports the growth of moss in which a certain species of moth lives, and adds to the sloth's camouflage. And on a shorter time scale, smaller animals have adapted nicely to living in our cities. Here's an example. Cockatoos know how to select and pry open garbage cans containing the food scraps people throw away. And listen to this. Different species have learned how to cooperate. For example, a pack of sea lions will drive a shoal of fish that were pointed out to them by pelicans. They'll drive the shoal onto the beach. Pelicans and sea lions then dine together. Zoologists study chimpanzees because the chimpanzees are closest to us on the evolutionary tree. Here are some of their findings. Alpha males, they're the dominant ones. Alpha males display aggressive behavior, often instigating fights and mistreating other chimps. The alpha males use intimidation and violence to stay at the top of the pecking order, and I guess the top of their food chain. Alphas appear to be me-only oriented, and sometimes chimps exhibit psychotic disorders. But chimps also spend lots of time grooming one another by picking out lice and other insects. And zoologists conclude that fear is perhaps the strongest motivator, driving species to improve. How have they reached that conclusion? Well, by studying the impact of adding more predators to the ecosystem. They found that the right balance between predators and prey benefits the entire environment. All species get better, and the overall environment thrives. If you observe animals in the wild, you will see that they are physically fit and totally focused on the immediate, namely seeking food, avoiding predators, or looking for sex partners. And they seldom make mistakes because there is no room for error. Nature is read in tooth and claw, according to Tennyson's poem titled In Memoriam. Alfred Lord Tennyson published it in 1850, and it's a requiem to one of his friends. The poem contains some of Tennyson's most accomplished lyrical work and is an unusually sustained exercise in lyric verse. It is widely considered to be one of the greatest poems of the 19th century. The saying, read in tooth and claw, refers to situations in the natural world that are brutal, violent, and ruthless. It is often used to refer to the naturally violent state of animals in the wild. As I said a moment ago, most species are in constant motion, searching for food, shelter from predators, or sex partners. Their leisure time is taken up by resting their bodies so they can search again tomorrow. Some of their leisure time may appear to be playing, but their play is actually survival training. For a good example, watch dogs play fighting with their littermates. Man is the only species that has enough leisure for entertainment. We know that ancient Greece and Rome had sports and theater events, and you can trace how entertainment expanded as civilization and culture grew. And please consider this. Contemporary lifestyles in developed countries give people so much leisure, they often get bored and thus seek ever more experimental forms of entertainment. A story on the news a day or so ago told of a double-digit number of Chinese ultramarathoners perishing in a race held in sleet and sub-freezing temperatures. Here are some other examples. Fight clubs, violent virtual reality games, aberrant behavior such as taking too many drugs or too much sex. So, unlike the original Star Trek series, people need to work, so they have something to do that helps maintain a balance and find meaning in their lives. Barring any natural catastrophes that cause widespread extinction, the best example is the meteor crashing into the Earth 65 million years ago, and that made the dinosaurs extinct. Well, Homo sapiens should remain at the top of the food chain because evolution has given us the best cognitive, emotional, and conscious brain. But please think about this. Technological change is always disruptive. Historians chronicle its impact through history. Bronze, copper, iron, and steel ages used metals refined from rocks. The Renaissance and Enlightenment emerged thanks to the printing press. Then came modernity, and that's where we are today, which is built on science and reason that lead to technologies that cater to our wants and needs. Here are some examples. The steam engine ushering in the Industrial Revolution. Then computers and the information age leading to artificial intelligence and DNA and genetic engineering and the digital revolution. These changes take place faster than our brain's natural evolution can handle. This causes much of today's anxiety and uncertainty. We have to admit that human nature must find other means of adjusting. And how do we do this? By consciously, mindfully, and meditatively using our brains to equip us for a future that we can at least partially shape in these environments: climate, health, social, technological, political, and economic. And please note how economies of scale have disrupted factory manufacturing and farming. Today's steel mills require only a fraction of the workers that were needed a couple of decades ago. And farm tractors are computer and GPS controlled. So, what must each of us do? Well, we must gain the right education that prepares us for a job right now and allows for lifelong learning. And according to the trends we see, what are the jobs and careers of the future? What is the future of work that is being shaped today by the digital revolution? Perhaps the COVID-19 pandemic has shown us and accelerated what future jobs and careers will be. There will be winners and losers, both among people and types of jobs and companies. People have to be smart enough to qualify for higher tech, digital, and gig jobs, and industrial age manufacturing and factory jobs will continue to disappear, as will companies that don't embrace the digital technologies. I think you know what gig jobs and the gig economy is. Well, instead of traditional in-office full-time jobs with a single company, gig workers will work short-term, temporarily as independent contractors for one or a variety of employers. I would imagine some of you listening are already, gainfully employed in the gig economy. What else? Well, globalization, outsourcing and supply chain management, digital platforms, distance learning, working at home, plug-and-play labor, nomadic or gypsy workers, and robo-assistants continue expanding. Clearly, robotics and artificial intelligence are drivers, as are biotech and genetic engineering. Are these changes good? Probably so longer terms, if societies deliberately address the ethical issues. But shorter term, they can be problematic and can lead to greater income inequality and more fear. They can empower populist governments if safety nets don't help those left behind. Now, here are some particulars. Winner growth jobs of the future include entrepreneurial jobs, creative jobs, performing arts and entertainment, high value-added service jobs, healthcare services, and here's one major example, robotic surgery assistants. Do you know that there are surgical robots today that use a Da Vinci, it's called Da Vinci 11, surgical platform controlling 4 robotic arms equipped with cameras and knives for remote control surgery done via the internet. There are also going to be robo-assistants. They're called cobots. Politicians and counselors will also be, growth jobs of the future because they help people adjust and coordinate activities for a better future. Let's hope so. Combination production and consumption jobs are also growth areas. What is included here? Well, gourmet chefs, hairstylists, and beauticians. And finally, distribution center jobs like those at Amazon, Walmart, and Google are areas of future job growth. Here are some current jobs that are endangered by the future. And sociologists say we are witnessing the emergence of the new-collar workforce. Well, here are some of the jobs that are endangered. Drivers, lower value-added factory jobs, repetitive white-collar jobs, computer programming, legal assistants and lawyers, bank teller jobs, and retail jobs, and teachers at all levels. Working-class clerical office workers, number crunchers, and hotel or fast food workers are also on the endangered species list. In the future, foot soldiers, boots-on-the-ground soldiers, sanitary engineers, and building maintenance types might not be as necessary. And domestic help, such as cleaning, some types of caregiving, might not be as relevant. And here are some of the things that will come. In fact, some of them are already here. Drone military aircraft, smart ships, 3D printing, synthetic organs, a shortage of low-skilled workers willing to shoulder drudge jobs, such as farm work or trash collection. Older workers are being forced into jobs they don't want. And Rust Belt cities are struggling. Now, here are some examples of how cities will respond. Smart cities that harmonize with the environments of the future are being built, and some older cities are retrofitting themselves. For example, in the United Arab Emirates, its capital, Dubai, and another city, Abu Dhabi, are exemplary smart cities. They've automated transportation, and they have computer-controlled, friendly building environments. And Pittsburgh is reinventing itself as a center for robotics, precision engineering, and medical technology. The media reports more of the bad than the good, but it always has. So Google for some of the good stuff if you'd like to hear more. In a previous video, I talked about important trends. Well, I would like to end this video by mentioning a couple that I didn't mention earlier, but are particularly relevant for this video. I came across them when reading Mario Gillen's 2020 published book titled 2030, How Today's Biggest Trends Will Collide and Reshape the Future of Everything. I'll just mention them. 3D printing, the sharing and caring and collaborative consumption economy, the recycling and trash management economy, rising sea levels, the trend on obesity, which unfortunately is going up. Well over 50% of the population worldwide will be classified obese in the not-too-distant future. And here's one other. The trend for democracy may be pointing downward because the developing world might prefer paternalistic rather than democratic governments. And I'll mention one more, the proliferation of blockchain-like international currencies. They hold great potential to streamline all sorts of transactions, but will disrupt jobs, industries, and the international monetary system. I particularly liked the book's concluding chapter titled Lateral Tips and Tricks to Survive 2030. It lists and then delves into a 7-step, self-help-like set of steps. I'll just mention them. Lose sight of the shore. Diversify with purpose. To be successful, start small. Anticipate dead ends. Approach uncertainty with optimism. Don't be scared of scarcity. And the last, take the current. And the author wrote a postscript claiming that the COVID-19 pandemic has accelerated some of the trends because it is a big, big disruption. That by itself could be another video, so I won't say anything more about it in this one. How nation states and people respond will determine their place in the food chain. And societies will need to practice lateral thinking for determining how best to adapt to all trends. Thank you for listening, and please contact us via lightningbrainseries.com if you have comments or suggestions for future topics. Bye-bye.